And
Cool.
so let's reveal the games. It's goodbye, Pug. Cool-looking Pug. We'll hit that up, and there we are. These are the 5 games. We've got 4 games. We've got 4 games that we're going to definitely talk about, and then maybe one more that we might well add onto that. Yeah, because it's not technically a Dreamcast game, but it sort of is at the same time. So yeah, it's called Beben. We'll talk more about it, I'm sure. And so we've got what else? So you should be able to see the stream right now. So what do we got there? Can you see the stream? Can you see what we're going to be playing?
I can see perfectly. We've got Revolt, which I guess is our main third-party game, and then the 3 first-party Sega games are Choo Choo Rocket, Crazy Taxi, and Jet Set Radio.
Ooh.
Or Jet Grind Radio to Americans.
Yes.
Very poor.
Jet Grind Radio. How dare you? How dare you? I'm just very quickly adding the PNGs that show what the game is all about. I'm just going to add them very quickly. It's all a bit last minute, really, isn't it?
Loads of people coming into the chat, though. Hello to all our regulars. We've got Babak Jane, we've got Alex Gold, we've got Touch Thinker, and James Rooney, Bilbo Swaggins.
Oh, Bilbo Swaggins.
Yep. We've got Matt Frost, the SB Fox.
Matt Frost. Good man.
Very busy.
Oh, well, we've got some lovely people coming in. We obviously we always have lovely people coming in, but we've got lots of lovely people coming in today. So I think we're pretty much there. So do you know what then? Let's kick off. With Crazy Taxi, shall we? Should we go with Crazy Taxi?
Perfect way to begin.
Let's go with Crazy Taxi. So let's fire this one up right now. So, Crazy Taxi, let's make some crazy money! Are
you ready?
Are you ready? And then a Bad Religion soundtrack. So, obviously, we've talked about Crazy Taxi here on the stream before, haven't we? We've talked about...
well, recently it's been more about this spin-off, I guess.
City Rush.
I don't mind it, but I'm not. It's not really Crazy Taxi.
It's not, is it? But this is full-on Crazy Taxi. This is the home release, the Western home release, I should say. I believe it's called International Edition over in Japan. And basically, this is the version that you got on Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 and GameCube, I want to say.
Of course, because originally it was an arcade cabinet.
It started off in the arcades with lots of different kinds of cabinets and crazy stuff like that. So you've got lots of different modes. There's Crazy Box, Records, Name Register. We're not really going to look too much at those. It's it's kind of mini games. Records is Records, Name Register. It's super simple. What we have is arcade and original. We're going to go to arcade first. Arcade and original are 2 different maps, basically. They're 2 different cities that you can drive around, or 2 different city types that you can drive around. And then you're given, after you select which map you want to go on. Arcade rules, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes. We're going to go with arcade rules because we're purists. Arcade rules allows you to play and play and play as long as you're good enough. And you're awarded at the end with a ranking. We've got different characters here. There's Alex. Is it Alex? No, it's not Alex. It's Axel, you dumb
Axel.
Axel.
It's all about Gina. Come on.
Beady Joe, Gina, and Gus. Obviously, Gina is your favourite. Axel is actually my favourite. So we're gonna come on, take a ride. He says.
I quite like playing as Beady Joe though in the Sega, Sonic transformed racing games.
Oh yeah, no, he's actually quite good, isn't he? He's Beady Joe is like such a classic little character as well and he's also always used in. He was used in City Rush a lot more than I want to say. I want to say Axel. But okay, so if you haven't played Crazy Taxi before, then. Basically, Crazy Taxi is all about you having a crazy taxi, wanting to make crazy money, and you're driving around a sort of California-esque. Well, it's basically sort of.
It's San Francisco, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
level.
It's San Francisco because of the hills with the like really sharp corners, essentially, sharp sort of inclines and stuff. But it's also got a lot of Californian and Los Angeles influence in there as well. Not just from the music soundtrack, which you'll be able to hear going on in the background. The Los Angeles punk rock scene at this point was basically absolutely amazing, and if Harry was on the stream, he would agree with me. Bad Religion.
I agree with you. I'm all about the Offspring. I'm less into Bad Religion.
Well, now we're gonna have to have a fight. What's so bad about Bad Religion? What about Bad Religion?
I think they have about 3 2-minute songs, and then the rest of their songs are just different versions of those 3 same songs.
Yeah, they're consistent, Danny. They're consistent. So Bad Religion is one of my favourite bands of all time. Legit, one of my favourite bands.
I saw them. They were pretty good live.
Where did you see them?
In Japan. At festival. Yeah.
I saw them at I want to say Brixton Academy.
Oh, cool.
Which is a really cool music venue in the UK. So it's got Bad Religion, it's got Offspring in the soundtrack as well, and I think that's it.
That was it for the arcade and Dreamcast release. I think the PC version had a completely different soundtrack. But
yeah, because there was a time when this soundtrack just wasn't in place. Like, they just lost the rights to it. I think Epitaph was probably, which is the music label that all of the albums are from, all the music's from. I think Epitaph was just kind of being a bit jerky about like how much music they could, like how much money they could actually make out of Crazy Taxi. Because Epitaph was going through this like incredible phase basically where they were making all the money. Like, they were really, really popular because they had a couple of really, really big bands, and now still a pretty good punk rock outfit. But
I'm just looking at you. You're making your way around the levels pretty well until that sun crash that you had there. But is it easy enough to control compared to using a proper joypad?
Well, so this is a good question. So I think if you're going to play this game, like if you want to play Crazy Taxi on your mobile or tablet, like clearly this is the game to go for. I think City Rush is a pretty good auto runner, but it's not Crazy Taxi. Obviously, like, you know, it's a game out of the arcades, and it was all about its control, and it was all about its precision and
because you often need every last little second to make those final stops.
So the touchscreen stuff, like, you can get used to it. I've probably played this game. I own this game. I think I put maybe a couple of hours into the touchscreen version. I think
you're doing the boosts though, aren't you? You can't hear the sound, but you've managed to figure out the boosts.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let me just double check that the sound's all up and lovely. It is good. Can everybody hear? Can you hear the sound on the stream? Just wanted to double check that.
Oh yeah, I can.
Yeah, all good. Okay, good. So like, I would say that. So the boosts basically are in this game. You're double tapping D for drive, and that gives you like this forward momentum. You can also oversteer. You can kind of like skid around corners if you want. Although it's not. It's mostly for earning extra money. It doesn't really give you like a boost or anything like that. You can do that by double tapping on the side like that. See, and that gives you loads of extra money. And then like that. That's kind of how that system works. You can also. I think there's something else you can do. I think you can make the car kind of like sort of jump in midair. Like you can sort of make it do some weird sort of physicsy stuff that.
I remember that the like that boost start was the easiest trick you could do, but then there were a couple of other ones. Maybe like a quick turn or something that you can do as well. I can't recall.
Yeah.
Oh, a Class A license.
Class A license. Like the Class A license, amazing. It goes up to awesome. I want to say it goes beyond S, which is. Oh
really?
Yeah, it does.
I never got that.
So I was a bit of an idiot when I first got my PlayStation 2, and Crazy Taxi was one of the first games I got for it. I got SX, and I got Crazy Taxi, and Crazy Taxi is brilliant. But like, it's only ever like 2 or 3 minutes. Like, you're not really often playing for very long.
Sure.
So I got very, very good at it. I must have put maybe 50, 60 hours into Crazy Taxi on the PlayStation 2. So I managed to get the awesome license a whole bunch of times, basically. And I think at one point I was, what was it? I want to say it was for this game. At one point, before like Twin Galaxies really kicked off and became a really big deal, I was like 8th in the world or something, like unofficially 8th in the world for like Crazy Taxi, some score on one of the mini games or something like that. Like, I was pretty into it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I wasn't so great at the racing and that side of things, I was a bit better at Crazy Box.
Oh, Crazy Box, yeah.
Than just speeding along in this. I've noticed that they've taken the sponsorship out. That's the only difference I can see.
Yeah, so
because you would be going to KFC right now.
Yeah, KFC and Pizza Hut and all these other places. Instead, they're like, oh, why don't you take me to the pizza parlor?
It was like that as well with Shenmue on the Dreamcast. In Japan, they had Coca-Cola and Fanta, but when it came to the West, we had just some kind of weird generic drinks. Bastards.
I know, right? I want to know whether or not I can go underwater still in this version. Because in this map,
you think it might be PC now, and they don't let you drown yourself?
Yeah, drown yourself and go and find the killer whale and all that good stuff. Because there's a killer whale out at sea, isn't there? So there's oh yeah, there was the record store, and it was Tower Records.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Tower Records, they're gone now. Like Tower, oh god, this is a trip to sadness, isn't it? Like old things and sadness. But yeah, so basically you pick up all of these fares. You know, I'm sure you can probably figure this sort of stuff out. But you pick up all of these fares. One of which is this old lady, and get out of the way, Carl. And if you get a green one, then it's kind of easy. Like they're kind of easy fares. You get a lot of time, and you get a decent amount of money for it. If they're red, then they are high risk, but you do get I think you get like more money for it or something like that.
Are there like silver ones as well, or something like that? I remember I remember there being some really special people that you could pick up.
That's a really good question.
Have I invented that?
Was that Crazy Taxi 2?
I could be getting confused, yeah.
Possibly, I don't know.
I never really played so much of Crazy Taxi 2. That was where you could pick up maybe multiple passengers.
Yeah, you could pick up multiple passengers, and like
it was in New York or something.
Yeah, it was in New York, and like it never really Sega seems to be kind of just forgetting the fact that it has Crazy Taxi 2 and Crazy Taxi 3 actually as well.
Was 3 any good? I never played that.
3 was Xbox, the original Xbox,
yeah.
And I want to say it didn't do. It didn't do brilliantly, I don't think. It's wrong audience, basically. Xbox was kind of just not that audience, really. But they kind of forget that exists. And also Crazy Taxi Fare Wars, which was a PSP, I think, compilation.
Wasn't
Crazy Taxi, Crazy Taxi 2. Oh my gosh, I've completely forgotten this original stage. The arcade version I'm not okay at, but... so yeah, this is Crazy Taxi, and you know what? Like, all the people that sort of say, oh, well, you know, Crazy Taxi City Rush, it's not Crazy Taxi, is it? It's like, no, but this is that game. So.
It is a bit expensive, though, for... I mean, if it was 69p or 99 cents, I would just pick it up like that, or I'd tell anyone to pick it up at that price. But as something that you would just pick up and play for a few minutes at a time normally, I don't know if it's worth the £3. But Sega do have sales several times a year where they drop everything down to 69.
Absolutely, and I think it's a pretty cool game. It'd be cool if there was control support in there. I don't think that's actually in there at the moment, but never mind. So that is Crazy Taxi. Let's go on and let's go and try something else. Let's try out another racing game, shall we? Let's go to Revolt. Let's go with Revolt, because Revolt is not a Sega game. It is, however, very much fondly remembered as a Dreamcast game. And obviously that is what we're streaming today. We are streaming Sega Dreamcast games on iOS, simply because it is the 15th anniversary of the birth of the Sega Dreamcast in the West.
I can't believe that. That's so depressing.
I remember actively wanting one and I remember being old enough to think that it would be cool to have one, and therefore I must have been about, oh god, I was 15.
I remember getting one, but I don't know if I got it at launch. I don't think so. I think it was like several months later. But I got it with Sonic Adventure. The problem was I couldn't afford VMU, you know, the memory card.
Oh no!
So I played through the entire game and I unlocked, you know, all the characters, and I had like maybe I couldn't do the Chowgun. I can't remember because you needed the VMU.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completed everything. I was doing really well. I don't know if I 100%ed it, but I did a lot of work over about 2 weeks, and eventually when I could afford the VMU, I put it in, and it said, "Oh, new game."
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hardcore. I mean, like, so when you go back and play these games, I mean, like, you know, we're playing this one at the moment, and this is Revolt. This is the basically, the company that used to own Revolt was a company called Acclaim, and Acclaim, if you remember your video game history, went royally down the toilet. Sort of, yeah, just absolutely destroyed itself from within, making basically just rubbish WWF games that nobody liked, and was killed off, rather ironically, by THQ. Which, of course, went belly up a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's so this was owned by Acclaim. So this mobile port is not from Acclaim. It's by another company completely. I can't remember their name at the moment. But they own the Revolt license, and they are doing so much stuff with it at the moment. So there's this version, which is Revolt Classic. It's just originally called Revolt when it came out. But there's also Revolt 2, which, as far as I can tell, it is Revolt 2, but it's got a free-to-play twist on it. So they've added like wait timers and upgrades and
what console was Revolt 2 on? Was that on the PS2?
Revolt 2 originally came to place. I want to say Dreamcast and PlayStation 1.
Oh wow!
And this was when, you know, PlayStation 1 was getting some pretty shonky ports. And then there was a game called Super Revolt, I think, on PlayStation 2, which was kind of like just an upgraded visual version of Revolt 2. But yeah, so this company, whoever it is that owns it now, like, is absolutely using the license, and so this is the paid one, and it's as brutally hard as I remember the original being. Like, it is just not very forgiving whatsoever. I'm in fourth, and I don't know, I think I'm driving pretty well. Like, it's conservative for me to say I'm driving alright. But that's not good enough, yo. So, yeah.
So, I never actually played much Revolt. I remember seeing it around, but what was the big draw to it? It was kind of, was it, because we never had, did we get Micro Machines from the Dreamcast? I don't remember, maybe V3?
There was, no, V3 didn't come out, sadly. I want to say Micromaniacs came out on Dreamcast.
I have no idea what that is.
Micromaniacs was a racing game where you were running on, like, as in, you were running, so, like, it was characters rather than cars. Didn't do brilliant. And sick because I hit one thing. There we are. So, not last. I'm happy with that. Yeah, it's so the big appeal I feel is that I think the first thing is that it has a tangible sense of you could maybe do this. Like, you're racing on streets, you're racing on in your like, you know, in your neighborhood and that kind of thing. Like, it's not out of the realms of possibility for you to actually have a remote control car like this or whatever. And
I guess I was drawn more to I can't remember the name, but Toy Commander, I think it was, and Toy Racer.
Oh, Toy Commander! Yeah.
They captured my imagination a lot more, I guess.
They were absolutely fantastic. There was a recent game called Toy Soldiers, I want to call it, which was on XBLA, and it was kind of a very similar setup. It was like it was part of the Microsoft, like, Summer of Arcade or something. But we're in the supermarket now, and one of the cool things that you'll notice is that there's different qualities of flooring. So you'll skid around some areas, and you'll have, like, really good grip on others, and, like, you're going through, you know, electric doors and all that sort of thing. Like, and the tracks have got some real thought behind them. Like, that's, I guess, what the real appeal of them was. The other thing, obviously, was it was the Dreamcast, and the Dreamcast was... It had some brilliant games on it, but a lot of those...
It just wasn't very well handled at all.
No, it just wasn't, was it?
And it didn't have enough... Well, I think since the Sega Saturn, pretty much, Sony had been quite clever with sort of cheeky exclusivity rights and buyouts and stuff like that. So, like, the moment that Sega stopped getting, say, like Tomb Raider 2 and Resident Evil 2 and stuff like that, it just started to drop off from there. They managed to salvage some things a little bit by... because they didn't get any of the EA games, they managed to get, they made up their Sega Sports and then the 2K and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean,
but they were always behind.
Yeah, they were, weren't they? They were kind of always. It's sad because there were some really good exclusives as well, and I do, Revolt isn't an exclusive, but I do think it's a good little racer. I think that it's a really enjoyable one, and I think that it's certainly a game for people who Jesus flipping Christ. I do think that it is for the kind of people who remember old school hardcore racers and kind of balk at the fact that most racing games now, like, it takes a huge amount for you to not win.
Yes, there is a lot of
like, hey, it's okay, you're not very good at this.
And stuff.
So let's go to the Botanical Garden. This will be our final race in Revolt.
Is there anything extra added into this version? Is there any multiplayer?
So the visuals are much better. You would have had to have used a VGA cable on your Dreamcast to get it looking quite as good as this. Which, by the way, VGA cables, technically, the Dreamcast was an HD console. Get that.
At what? At 480p? Does that really count?
I think so. I think it just about counts. I think it also had progressive scan, I want to say, and 60 hertz and all that.
Oh yeah, we had all the 60 hertz. Well, I mean, Americans always had 60 hertz, I guess. It was the first time we started noticing that kind of optimization for where you could choose between 50s, which was quite nice.
Which was absolutely lovely, and like, playing games in 60 frames a second as well. Like, that was another thing that the Dreamcast did really well for a bit. Because it was so far and away ahead of everything else, like 2 years. It really was. And I know this sounds a lot like hyperbole, but it was magic. Like when I first saw Sonic Adventure, which obviously we won't be playing on this stream because, like, they ain't never going to put Sonic Adventure on iPad.
Well,
it would be horrible.
It would be horrible, but I mean, I don't think that would stop Sega from doing it.
Yeah, you know what? No, fair enough. Fair enough. Sega might eventually do that. But like, one of the things I would say is when you played Sonic Adventure for the first time and you outran that orca, that orca whale, that was stunning.
No, there were some pretty magic moments.
There really were some incredible moments. The first time I saw Soul Calibur running on a Dreamcast, I was in Tunbridge Wells, which is the town I grew up in, and it was running on an import Japanese Dreamcast, and to see Soul Calibur running, I saw Soul Blade and I thought, yeah, that's pretty good looking. But you saw Soul Calibur running and you just thought, I never need to go to the arcades ever again. Like,
well, I mean, and the Dreamcast version was there was so much more added to it from the arcade version. I remember, because that was the first time I never played it in the arcades, but when it eventually came out on XBLA, because it was a port of the arcade version, I was like, where's all the fun stuff?
Yeah.
So it's all been...
So Revolt is now telling me that there's an easy mode that I could try because I'm not very good. So I think that's probably
you have to unlock easy mode.
where we'll leave that.
I should point out that we have a new subscriber in the shape of Mr. BT Dillon, or maybe. So thank you very much, BT Dillon.
BT Dillon, thank you ever so much. That's lovely. So what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out why the flipping heck my mouse isn't quite working. For God's sake. Oh, God. Good. Well, my mouse isn't working, dude. So that's awesome, isn't it?
That's nice. Just, you'll have to do a bit of alt-tabbery.
I will. I absolutely will. So we may need to wait a moment for the I don't know, for my computer to wake up. Is that a thing?
Yes.
Possibly
No.
it is. Come on, wake up, wake up, wake up. Oh dear. Right, 2 seconds. I'm going to shout at my computer for a moment.
Okay, I'll stay here.
Hold on, you keep them all. Thank you for subscribing, and this is exactly the kind of high quality content that you wind up with.
It's just, it's put us off completely. We weren't expecting that at all, and now we just need to recombobulate.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, oh my word.
So, chat room, can you tell us some of your favorite Dreamcast games and which you think would be a good fit for iOS? I think one of the games that we're playing today is a particularly good fit. You can probably guess which one.
Yes.
But I think the other ones, particularly one of the ones we haven't played yet, it's probably not a very good fit. It looks very nice, it sounds very nice, but it's a tough game which probably should not be played with a virtual joystick ever.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Now, my mouse is working. All of the subscribing, brilliant, fantastic. It keeps my mouse working. Let's go and play Choo Choo Rocket, shall we?
Yes.
So this game is really interesting. I actually have the iPhone version running on an iPad. Now,
is there an optimized iPad version?
There is an optimized iPad version.
Oh, really?
This is back in the days when people did iPhone and iPad versions. Now, unfortunately, you will see that what it does is it makes the screen incredibly small. It's it's very odd. It's really odd to play it on the actual screen, and they've not gone back and optimized it and made it a universal app or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I can't, if I go to 2 times the thing.
Oh right, that is quite small. That looks like the Game Boy Advance resolution.
It's rather amazing, isn't it? It is rather amazing. So if we'll probably play Choo Choo for maybe a couple of minutes.
Well, you can stretch it a little bit.
Oh, I could stretch it, couldn't I?
You could stretch it.
Let's do some stretching. Hold on. Let's do some stretching. Hold on. We'll find the window. And there it is.
So those of you who, I think if you were outside of Europe and you weren't like properly signed up to the online, I can't remember what the Dreamcast online, did you have to pay?
DreamNet.
DreamNet. Did you have to pay for that?
I believe you actually totally did. There you go.
And then this was back in the day where you had to pay for just being online for 1 minute as well. You know, you were paying by the minute, the amount of time that you were staying online. It wasn't broadband. You were on a 33.3K or 56K modem. And I mean, I used to have to pay like £1 an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like a friend of mine used to play Phantasy Star Online, and would rack up huge phone bills. And his parents would always be like, "Oh, we've got so much bigger phone bill today. I don't know why." And he'd be like, "I've been grinding." So place arrows to guide their way by touching a tile, then swiping up, down, left, or right. Place an arrow now. So what we're going to do is place an arrow so that the Choo Choo is directed by that arrow to the goal. Now put the Choo Choo in motion by tapping start and dash.
So basically what we have here is a puzzle game, and you need to guide the space mice to the rocket and away from the Kapu cats.
Yep.
Space cats.
Yeah, space cats. Now, people wonder why the Dreamcast didn't do very well. Could it be that? I don't know. Could it be the fact that, like, these are brilliant games? Like, this is a fantastic puzzle game. Not my cup of tea.
This is made by Sonic Team as well, like the Sonic people. But I used to love this game. There was a Flash version of it that you could get on PC for a while. It was a promotional one. And I figured out a way to download it. And it was the entire game. It was every single puzzle in the game. And I just used to play that.
Oh.
Because I never really got into the online mode because I didn't have online access, I guess, to the Dreamcast until much later on.
There was a particularly excellent GBA version of this.
Yeah. Did that have multiplayer?
Well, really interestingly, they included the browser. Yeah, it was really odd. Like, they included when you get the GBA version, there's a browser built into it, and it just says something like you cannot connect to DreamNet at this time, or something along those lines. Really strange. Really, really strange. These are cats. Watch out. Cats like to eat choo-choos. So, yeah. This is a hole. Cats and choo-choos fall through holes. You can also use arrows to guide cats away from choo-choos. Place one now. So, what we're going to do is we're going to place an arrow so it's out the way. We're going to place it there. Puzzle mode. If a mouse falls down a hole or a cat eats a choo-choo, the level will restart automatically. Now put the choo-choo in motion. Okay, so let's give that a go. Ah, gosh. Okay, so that didn't work out. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of that, and we'll put that there, and we'll do that. There we go. So the whole game is about getting your mice to your rockets, making sure that a whole bunch of cats die, and other serial killer-esque tasks. Do you know, I never quite got into Choo Choo Rocket.
Really?
Choo Choo Rocket.
I was mad for it. The thing is that eventually you play through it so much that you just... Well, it's kind of a problem, I don't know, because you just remember how to solve all of the levels. Because there are about, like, 50 or something like that, I think, if you include all the harder ones. And after that, I think you were meant to really go online and start playing the online version, which was real-time rather than, you know, an actual puzzle.
Yeah.
So much, much, much tougher. But I was mad for it. I think the first time I played it... Well, the thing was, it was given out free to pretty much every Dreamcast owner in Europe, I think.
Yes, it was on the Dream On disc, I believe. Yeah.
I can't remember. I feel like you actually got sent it out to you.
Yeah, you had to order it.
Oh, right, that's what it was, okay.
Yeah. So, I noticed that James Lee in the chat has said, has this game had the update so it will fit on the 5S screen? So, there is an iPhone version. I don't know whether or not it's had that update or anything like that. I would say that if it's still a universal app and it looks this balked, the iPhone version looks this balked on the iPad, I would probably argue that they probably haven't done the work to it. I don't think it did that well, unfortunately. I think it sold okay, but I don't think it did brilliantly for Sega.
I was amazed they never released it on XBLA or anything like that.
Oh, man. Yeah, right? Right?
I thought it was an obvious choice.
I thought it'd be an obvious choice as well. But it's 69p 99 cents, depending on which version you get, actually. I think the iPad version is ever so slightly more expensive because, you know, more pixels.
Of course.
So that is the that's Choo Choo Rocket. Like, I think it's pretty good fun. Like, so did you say? So you're a big fan of this then, yeah? Like, you think this is?
I am. I don't know why. I just was hypnotized by it one day, and yeah, just every once a year I just go through and play every single puzzle, and that's good enough for me. I sometimes get stuck a bit towards the end, but. Yeah. I always figure it out in the end. I never have to look at walkthroughs or anything like that.
No, absolutely. And
I mean, the animation is pretty nice. I mean, look at that. Look at the mice.
Look at them.
Going through their mazes and whatnot.
Look at them go. They love it. They absolutely love it. All right, well, I think that's where we're gonna end it with Choo Choo Rocket. But we do have other games. We've got two more games that we're going to play. Let me take Choo Choo Rocket off of the screen, and I'll probably try and put the... Oh, God, I'm going to have to put the screen back together again now. Hold on. Hold on now.
Holding.
Hold on.
Oh.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, that...
Oh, God, it's all going absolutely everywhere. See, this is what happens when James goes away.
Well, I did tell you to stretch out the screen like that. That was...
No, it's a good idea. It was a genuinely good idea. One I would genuinely never have been able to actually come up with myself. Because, honestly, that's not me. I'm not the ideas guy. Right, there we are.
I think our final game of the day is the best one.
Final, yes, our final official game of the day.
Right.
This is Jet Set Radio, or Jet Grind Radio.
Jet Set Radio!
Jet Set Radio! Oh, man. So, what do we like about this game, Danny?
The music and the graphics. Them graphics are real good, they are.
Graphics. Music. Yeah. I'll tell you what I never liked. I never liked the controls. and I
it's just a really fiendishly tough game. I think that most people who think that they like Jet Set Radio, I think they played it for about 2 hours and then stopped. But and they didn't unlock, like, there's a ridiculous amount of characters to unlock. But I was playing through it, and I was one of those people, I have to admit. And I was playing through it recently on the Vita, and I kept going and going, and some of the stages towards the end, it's really fiendishly difficult. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, the Vita's got a pretty good controller as well, but it just, my fingers weren't up to it, you know?
And it's weird because Sega's not averse necessarily to going back to its classics and changing things up for the better. And they've never really touched Jet Set Radio, and it feels like, because Jet Set Radio Future, which was the sequel, which was an Xbox exclusive, I believe, it was so much more approachable because the timer wasn't really there, and there was additional stuff to help you.
It did take out some of the challenge in that you would only have to press one button to do a full tag. You know, it wouldn't be like you in the original. You have to kind of move your thumb about to follow the pattern, and if you screw up, and there's more pressure because the police are on your back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's the first one's more challenging, but I thought in a good way. The second one kind of lost me after a while, but there are some very good stages, and it does feel like a proper sequel. It doesn't feel like it's also a different team or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. So what we're doing is we're being introduced to Gum at the moment. Gum wants to join our team, but she doesn't really know whether or not she wants to, whether or not we're a punk team. And really, we're a punk team because there's only the one of us. So, you know, yeah, we're a bit punk. But, so she's basically saying, hey, guess what? I want you to come and follow me and get up here and do this, because if we can do that, then you'll prove to me that you can actually do this. And here is your skater. Your controls are on the left and right hand side of the screen. You can see that it's all virtual sticks and stuff. They're set up okay. The blue button jumps, the red button sort of pushes forward. There's a green button there as well to face the camera forward, and then there's a yellow graffiti tag, I suppose you'd call it. And then you jump up onto the... Oh, come on, get up there. Come on. So you've basically just got to jump up onto the car. There we are. So the whole story is that there's this place called Tokyo Toe, and
that just means Tokyo City.
Yeah, it just means and there's a whole bunch of skaters, and they are sort of graffitiing up the place, and you're part of a gang and you want to do this. So the fact that there's blue sparks coming out of Gum's blades is because they're battery powered. I want to say they're battery powered.
How does that work?
I don't know. Keep going. Come on, let's go.
I think just because you put batteries in them, that doesn't mean battery powered. Did lights come out or something?
I don't know. Let's go. Get off. Come on. Let's go. Here we go. There we go.
I think as much as people talk about Crazy Taxi being well known for its music, Jet Set Radio is really something else. Like, it's a completely original soundtrack, but
yeah,
by golly, do you remember it? Like, I'm not actually listening to the audio right now, but I can remember every track from every stage in this game. It's just
it's beloved, absolutely beloved, and it is all about its music and creating this vibe and this flavour to the world. It is. I think the thing that Jet Set Radio does the best, actually, is world creation. Like, the skating is quite fun, and jumping onto things and grinding around and doing all that good stuff. Like, that's all good, you know. That's great. But I think for me, the cool thing is like just skating around. And what I always wanted was the ability to just faff about. Like, I didn't really want to go and do all the vandalism and stuff. I wanted to go and like look at...
That's why maybe you prefer the sequel, because it does have that kind of open world. Well, it has some areas which are more open world where you can just muck about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
it's a shame. It's a shame that it doesn't have almost like if you know Katamari Damacy, it's got like eternal modes where you can eventually just have as much time as you want to go about there, to go about each stage. And I really wish like that some of these stages would have had that. Because it's just that the more there's always a timer, and the better you start doing and the more tags you start filling in, the more trouble you get into, and the more people come after you, and you.
Yeah, absolutely, and like, you know, for example, the Tony Hawk's games were always really, really great, but it took until Skate to come out, where you just had unlimited time to do whatever you wanted, that I truly felt that there was like a skateboarding game that really represented the culture really, really well. You know, because that's what it's about, like skating and Blade. I used to do inline Blade. I used to do all sorts of silly things, but you know, skating and skate culture is all about hanging out with your friends and having a good time, and being pressured to do something is just not fantastic. Like, it's just not. It doesn't feel like it's actually part of the skating culture, I suppose. But then, you know, at the same time, you have got batteries strapped to your blades, and yeah, like, it's a weird Japanese world where everything is hyper colourful and you're skating in traffic and all of this good stuff. Now, this is particularly difficult. We're being shown how to skitch on vehicles. It's actually really hard. I don't know how. I've tried to do this earlier and I failed dramatically. Come on, get up there, you.
Did you ever manage to unlock all the characters and get to the end?
No. I got to. I think I got to that stage where there's that huge like drainage ditch.
Yes.
And then I never figured out how to do that.
Yeah. Is that the one where you're chasing around a bunch of guys and you have to catch them?
I think so. I think it is. There we go. We got to the top. Oh, jeez.
It's a steep hill.
It is a steep hill. We got.
Oh,
to the top,
I think this is. I can't remember where this is based on. I think some of these places are based on actual areas in Tokyo.
So I know that one of the areas definitely is Shibuya.
Yeah.
But because I remember reading it in a magazine, a video games magazine, if you remember those, at the time, and yeah, like I remember distinctly like them saying, "Oh yeah, it's totally based on Shibuya. I've been down this specific street," and there is like a specific street that is shown in the game. But yeah, like, so Tab's happy. Tab's like, "Cool. Well, show me this one last run, and I'll join your gang." So really what we're looking at here is like the tutorial section, and we'll break out into the actual main game in a moment. So he wants us to do some fancy pants grinds, and we'll do that for him because we ain't no square. So there we are, and then we jump over the thing, and then we do that, and then we keep. And that the sharp angles at which you turn is another feature, like a classic feature of Jet Set Radio, like the fact that you're grinding up one thing and then you can just turn on a dime to grind in exactly this, like, perpendicular to that grind that you've just finished. Like, it is that's classic Jet Set.
I think as well, like, this was one of, I mean, it might be an over-exaggeration, but like the last few Sega games to actually feel cool. Like back in the like Mega Drive Genesis era, it felt like, you know, Nintendo, I think we've mentioned this before, like Nintendo were the Disney and Sega were the Warner Brothers, kind of. Sega were more offbeat, cooler, less, maybe not less family-friendly characters, but less focused on that. And Sega's always been a bit more out there and willing to try something a bit different. I think I can't think of anything after Jet Set Radio apart from maybe Yakuza that's seen as kind of cool.
I think even then I think Yakuza's kind of dumb. Like, I really love Yakuza. I think it's great, but it has its really weird collecty moments.
Yeah.
I guess Shenmue was like Shenmue 2 was after this. I guess. Yeah, I suppose you could kind of say that was it. But yeah, so we're into the game proper now. I do know what you're talking about, Daniel. Like I always felt like Sega games were the games that you got out when you were having a party with your mates, and you know, you were staying up late and drinking all the fizzy pop. Well, and Nintendo were like, they were the games that you got and you played by yourself because they were like, you know, really fun still, but you know, they were kind of a little bit more cartoony.
Well, Sega now, I feel like that they've gone third party. They're just playing it safe, you know. They're just sticking with what they know, and they're just, you know, bringing out like the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games things and stuff like that. Whatever's going to
well for them.
Yeah,
so.
they're meant to be all right, you know, I guess, but they're not really cutting edge Sega back in its heyday.
No, you're
They're not
completely
willing.
right.
They're not willing to take risks at all. Like some of the smaller Japanese studios would, I guess, like Grasshopper or something.
Like a lot of the so a lot of the the successes that Sega's had recently actually has been Sega Europe, and
of course.
Games like Company of Heroes and
just the ones they bought out, basically, right?
So, basically.
Football Manager.
Yeah, Football Manager and Total War. Yeah, all of those good games. Like, and cool, But at the same time, every once in a while, you do think to yourself, what if there had been a Dreamcast 2? Like, what if Sega had stayed in the market? I do think about it, and obviously because we are playing iOS, Dreamcast games that came to iOS today, because we are celebrating the 15th anniversary of the Dreamcast releasing in North America, it does get me thinking about Sega's legacy and how much like I kind of miss Sega being a part of like the console space, right? Like,
it is a bit of a shame, but they're never really going to come back.
No, they're not. Like people who sort of say, "Oh yeah, Shenmue 3 is going to be a thing." No. Like,
well, the thing is that I think if there were an option, because Yu Suzuki has said that he's totally up for it, he just needs the funding for it, basically. But I honestly bet that if there was a Kickstarter for it, that it would be the most funded Kickstarter ever, because I know people who would just, they'd put in $1,000 and they wouldn't want anything back, or they'd put in just any and every like spare penny they have to their name, just in the hope of getting that story finished off.
Finished in some way. Obviously not in the way that the game was intended, because it was meant to be a 6-parter, I want to say.
I think like maybe even 8 or 12, because I think the first game is just the first part. Then there's the second part, which they just released a very short comic of, which is on the boat, and then a few are in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think if they had access to the old engine, I don't think anyone would really complain if they just continued. Using the exact same engine as Shenmue 1 and 2.
But and that's the interesting thing. Like I do think that there is a great deal of love for those games and stuff, and I think that the Dreamcast really did inspire that, because it was groundbreaking. It was really interesting, and games like this did come to it, and it was a really fertile, amazing time in video games, which I was lucky enough to grow up in. And I do think that all of the games that we've shown today, they are definitely worth an investigation. Maybe add some of these to your wish lists and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Jet Set Radio especially, if you for 69p 99 cents, if you don't have access to it on PC or beta, why not just go for this? I mean,
why not go for it?
You seem to be controlling it just fine, really. I would have thought it would be a lot more awkward.
It seems okay, but I mean,
it is a tough game, though.
It's not perfect, and it is tough. So let's close out of that,
right?
And I will remove Jet Set, and just for the last 2 or 3 minutes, what we're going to play is Beben 3. Now, this isn't a Dreamcast game. This is an open source shooter, and it's based on the open source Quake 3 engine, and Quake 3 was a Dreamcast game that was absolutely a big deal. Like, I remember playing it online and being absolutely amazed at it. Again, it was like a multiplayer shooter in an era when multiplayer shooters on console just were not a thing. Like, Xbox Live, not a thing. Like, you've got to think of it in those kind of circumstances. It really was amazing. To be able to shoot and kill all of your friends and
I used to play Quake 3 Arena a lot on the Dreamcast with I used to play just split screen. I didn't play online. I was one of those people. But I used to play Unreal Tournament for the Dreamcast online, and I just had a blast doing that. I think you could even play with PC players. It was
I want to say the Dreamcast one. I want to say you can. Yeah. The PS2 version, which eventually came out, not even online multiplayer. Come on, PlayStation 2, sort it out. But yeah, so the reason that we wanted to bring you this just for a couple of minutes, I wanted to show it to you, and it's a bit of a bonus game really, is because you can add the Quake 3 assets into the game.
Right.
You can add the Quake 3 shareware assets via a couple of menu presses apparently. That turns it into the shareware version of Quake 3.
No way.
If you own Quake 3 on PC, you could just have Quake 3. It will take all of it and it will run a couple of things, and then you've got Quake 3 on your iPad. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I had no idea you could do that.
No, now it's a little known sort of iOS app. It's just not really a game that's really talked about, but it's totally legit, totally cool. Like, it runs. There's multiplayer. There's people still playing apparently. And yeah, and if you own Quake 3, you can turn it into Quake 3, and if you don't, then you can grab the shareware assets and turn it into the shareware version. And obviously, that Quake 3 is totally a game on the Dreamcast that a lot of people enjoy, and I think that's going to, basically going to do it for today's stream of Sega Dreamcast classics. Now, what I will say is that all those games are absolutely dope, and they are kind of interesting, and happy 15th birthday to the Sega Dreamcast.
What was the name of this one again? Beben?
It's called Beben 3. B-E-B-E-N, and then I-I-I. Yeah.
Cool.
And it is, that's a really interesting game. But yeah, so those are all classic Dreamcast games. We hope you've enjoyed this stream. It's Pocket Gamer and App Spy. We've been streaming iOS games that originally came out on Dreamcast because of the 15th anniversary of Dreamcast in North America. If you've just joined us for this stream, then hey, hit that follow button, for heaven's sake. Do hit that follow button. We stream games 5 PM UK, 9 AM Pacific, 12 Eastern, every single Monday to Friday. That is going to be the end of this stream. But if you want another hour and a half of content, Danny and I are going to be trying to stream the Apple Stream keynote now. Yep. So if you want to, then hang about for that. We will stop the stream here, and then we'll start it all up again. Do hang about if you want to watch us talk over the keynote, basically. That's what we're going to do.
So perhaps we'll see you in a moment.
And we'll see you in a moment. So thanks for coming, and if you're not coming back, then toodles. And if you are coming back, then we'll see you in a bit.